Welcome to Connecting the Dots podcast, brought to you by The Collective. I am your host, Grace McNamara. Together, we look at business like a sports team. We'll connect the dots between every player in the team, the audience, and the essential plays that are often overlooked by leaders. With a strong gender-balanced focus, we'll bring together discussions from across many markets that connect women's health, purchasing powers, leadership strategies, and business growth. We'll be chatting with thought leaders, executives, and champions of modern business to uncover the stories of challenge, success, learning, and privilege, and what's coming down the track in our evolving world. Together, we'll connect strategies of best practice and celebrate the rising leaders ready to take us into the new era. Hello and welcome. Vivian Szterling, thank you so much for joining me. You're bringing in from near Rio, right, in Brazil. And I was saying to you before we started, I know very little about Latin America and actually know very little about Brazil. So you're going to bring a whole cultural context to this conversation today. So let's just kick off straight into it. Connect the dots for me, Vivian, on where you started in your career to where you are today, because you've had a very fascinating and varied and accomplished career. Share with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace, for having me. And so excited to bring a little bit of Brazil in our culture to this conversation. And I do live close to Rio. It's a small town, not a small town, but it's a town close to Rio de Janeiro. It's called Niterói. But there is a bridge, an actual bridge that connects both. So it's very common that people can live at one and work at the other, and they keep going back and forth. But, you know, there is a local little fights going on saying, oh, who has the best view? Is it Niterói? Is it Rio? And it's something, you know, people at social media like to talk about. So. Well, I'm going to start from today and go back so I can connect the dots. Like it's looking back to the past where you can see the dots connecting. And this was a real great insight I had in 2019. So at this moment, who am I? I work as a mindfulness expert, and I am a registered dietitian working especially with behavior. But this is new, and this just was happening after a lot of self-knowledge, you know, a very deep dive inside of myself, of who am I and what am I doing here? I first started on a tourism career. So I fully graduated hotel management and tourism college. And I started working with traveling and restaurants and food. But it wasn't like a fulfilling job. It's nice because you get to know people and other cultures, which I have always loved. But then I'm like, is that it? You know, for my whole life ahead, that's it. What am I gonna do? And I was already really interested in studying what you eat and why you eat it and what is good for you and what's not. But I first entered to a pharmacy college. And that was weird because I had no chemistry background. And I'm like, oh my God, how will I study all that chemistry? My mind's not ready for that. But still, I stayed there for 4 years. I almost finished, but I didn't. And that's another story. But when I was back to studying, I'm like, what am I going to do now? Because, okay, pharmacy, I've seen a lot of it. I love studying the plants and nature and all that alchemy thing. But as a professional, that's not something I wanted to do. And then nutrition came. Okay, I like to eat. I like good food. People always telling me that, oh, you're going to be sick, you must eat this and you must eat that, because I am a vegetarian for more than 20 years now. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to graduate this. I'm going to tell everybody that I can eat like that I'm very healthy, and everybody can do that. And so nutrition came. But then again, I graduated nutrition and I was like, is that it? I'm going to tell you what you must eat, how much, and what time. No, this is not working. You're gonna see me only once. And once you get out of my office, it's like, okay, she's crazy. I'm not gonna do that. Then neuroscience came. How do we work? Why do we do what we do? Why do we behave the way we behave? And then I tried, I was starting to connect the dots. Neuroscience, behavior, why do we eat? We don't eat because we are hungry. We eat our emotions. We eat our culture, the environment around us. Everything is telling us what to eat. And social media and what you smell and what you remember, everything. On parallel to that, I was already a meditation person, I really like to calm down and try to understand my thoughts. And then an opportunity came when I was enrolled into a course for being a mindfulness instructor. And I took the full course. And that was the time when I've seen the dots connecting.
Love it.
In that alignment, it's like, okay, now all makes sense. First, we must be aware of what we're thinking, not the automatic running life, but what do I really want? How do I want to behave? Who is the person I want to become? I need to know this first, and then I'm gonna know what I will do as a professional, what I'm going to eat, how I'm gonna talk to people, how I am going to dress. So this comes first. And that was the first 2019 enlightenment I had. And I started working, as nutrition therapist and a mindfulness expert. So I could bring those questions, not the answers, but the questions to people.
I love it, but you've got, I said that's you connected the dots there is quite interesting because going from a pharmacy understanding, right? Again, the chemistry to nutrition as a dietitian to the mindfulness aspect and obviously behaviors, it's a really unique career, but obviously it makes total sense. And I mean, obviously we've had the privilege of working together most recently through Elfie. Tell me more about your Elfie role, because again, likewise, you're bringing all of these strands and all of these dots together because in a very practical, logical, understandable way, considering that healthcare and health and conditions are chronic and conditions are complex, but you're bringing it all into a very usable, friendly way. So give us more about your role there.
Yes, Elfie came, I was at LinkedIn and there was this, job post. We need a health and wellness coach. I'm like, okay, I can do that because I also have a complete coaching program.
Of course you do.
Yes, I love studying. I've been studying since I don't know, 12.
Love it, love it.
And then I was reading the job description. I can do that. Oh, yes, I love doing this. And I didn't know that kind of job existed in the first place. So I started to work to reading more about, okay, what is Elfie? What is health tech? How does this work? And then I applied, and they very promptly, within a few weeks, wrote me back. And I'm not gonna say her name now because I'm gonna save it for later. But I started a real nice conversation with the person who first contacted me from Elfie. And well, I think she likes me. And then she put me through another person and another. I did, I think, 6 interviews because I was perfect for the role, but they wanted a nurse. And I was telling them, well, I can do all of that, but I'm not a nurse. I am a baby. If it's good for you, it's good for me because I was already excited about it. So I first entered as a health and wellness coach. And then when I started it, I remember telling my daughter about the job and what was going on. And we downloaded the app. And I told her, I didn't even know this existed. And she came to me. She was like 13 at the time. She's now 15. She turned to me and she said, Mom, you found the job that really suits you. In Portuguese, the expression that's, it fits right into you. And I'm like, well, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
It
But that's the
was
funny
amazing.
thing is that all your dots, it absolutely does fit, doesn't it? Because it's serving population who are on medications, right? Alongside the lifestyle behavior changes and the disease management, and obviously nutrition being a core aspect, but coaching being a core. So it really is like your whole career is leading
It's
up
really
to.
one
Right.
of the questions that Ophir asked me is, why do you want this job? And the answer was very clear for me because I was one-to-one telling people how to live their lives better with quality of life and age better. If I can do that one-to-one, why can't I do that to hundreds or thousands
Right.
of people worldwide? It's a dream job, right?
Yeah, serendipity. Now, give me some context. As I said, I haven't been. Now I've traveled a lot, but I've not been to Latin America. So that's on my list for the for the next year is to get to Latin America more. Give me some context of what's different in Brazil. Because appreciate this role started. You're based in Brazil, but ultimately it's a very global role. So how do you work that difference?
Well, this is really a challenge because the first part of my job at Elfie was really a wellness coaching, and it was only to Brazil. But then Elfie started to grow, and the all our jobs started to grow as well. And I started to write content. First, the content was local, so I was writing to Brazil only. But then Elfie kept growing and our teams kept growing. And wow, now I get to write to the whole world. Not only me, a whole team, but I am a part of it. And it is really challenging because you have to take into account all the cultural differences. And from places I don't know personally, I don't know much about, or I didn't know much about because I started to talk to people when, well, oh, you're from Egypt. Can I talk to you a little? Do you mind if I ask you about how you live and your culture? And it was there, Egypt, Turkey, Vietnam, of course, and all other cultures. So once you write to a lot of people and you want it to make sense to everyone, it's pretty challenging because you want everyone to feel they belong. But with so many cultural differences, it is sometimes it's pretty challenging, especially now that I am recording the mindfulness and each month we have an audio. And of course, I don't record at all languages. Other people do on the team, but you want them to feel they belong. So we have to count on people from these places to make the final adjustments and even for recipes. So do you use this? Is that available on your site? So it's pretty amazing because we learn every day, every day.
It's a great example of how the world, in one way, has no borders, right? In one way, it's like, you can get a technology solution that works pretty much globally. And obviously, behavior is, varies somewhat, but science doesn't vary as much in relation to physiology. But obviously, cultural changes are vastly different. I mean, Brazil, Egypt, Vietnam, just three of the countries you mentioned there, they're very different culturally wise. So you must enjoy at this point as well the diversity. I'm also conscious that because you've got such a varied background of education and you said you enjoy learning, I feel like you're probably like me, you're consistently learning about new cultures and new foods and new norms and what's acceptable and what might be seen as not acceptable. And likewise, even just foods that what's available and what's not. Do you find that it's consistently a learning environment then?
Yes, consistently. Even today, I remember the first days, and I was talking to this friend, colleague at Egypt, and I was really careful with words, because of, do you mind if I ask you this? Do you mind if I ask you that? Because sometimes you just don't know, right? People may be offended or feel like you should know that already, but and she was so easygoing that it was great. So I started to take more informality with other people too, and it worked really great. And for today, for example, I answered an Elfie user on a comment, and it was a seasoning that I wrote on a recipe. And the person wrote in Vietnamese, "What is this?" And oh my God, And I asked, of course, for help for translation. Oh, this is a spice, but no worries. You can use your own. You don't have to use this one.
But that's the joys. I'm not a person that cooks because I'm just not good at it. I know my strength in cooking is not one of them. But to your point of is if spices, how do you know what spices are available and what's the name mean is obviously in different languages. So it's fascinating because obviously I'm in the Irish App Store, so I download the app and the content from the Irish App Store. Again, very culturally different from Brazil. And likewise, though, it feels applicable. Yeah, and so it's a great skill. And obviously, I appreciate it takes a lot of time to get it right. And as you said, you're mentioning there, you're talking with different people in different countries to get it in cultural context and finding that nuance. How long does it take? Like when you start an article or a content, and how much AI are you using? Because Vivian, I was expecting this massive team of people to be building all this content, and it's like you're very efficient.
It really depends the timing. It's actually fun to remember because at first we did not use AI at all. So it took like 2 or 3 working days to write one article. But that's unthinkable today because we have to write a lot. And what we're really concerned about, I am especially, but of course, Elfie team, is that we are scientifically accurate. So I must be really sure of what I'm saying because I'm saying that to 1,000 of people. And so I must, have read the papers and to have understood the papers and okay, this is what it means. But okay, maybe this article had only a few people being tested, so it's not really relevant. So it's a lot to take into account. Of course, it depends on the time I spend on each one. It depends on the subject. There's something that, okay, I know this by heart and I'll just write and then I'll cross-check the facts and it's good and I have the references. Okay, they're done. 2 hours and I did the whole thing. Others demand more time, more research, more reading, more cross-checking. So what we do now, the whole process is, if I am the person who's going to write it, I take the references, I take the sources, I write the whole thing. And then we always pass to a colleague to review the content itself. Because of tone, because of language, sometimes where I try to keep it simple, but sometimes where you are so much into the subject, it turns out that you use wording and the way you speak, like everybody knows what you're talking about, but they don't, because I am the one into it every day. And people are minding their own business and they don't have to know those weird words. So we always have a colleague to review, and then we review the English as well, of course, and then it gets translated. So I use AI a lot, yes, but what I do is, well, this is what I have. Please check it in terms of these sources, in the tone of voice, and you already know me. I always tell my GPT, you already know me, you know how I like it. Now do your job. And it gives me back, be aware of this, maybe you could change this word in here. And I just keep going back and forth with the AI until we have our final.
It's great. And to your point, every article, every content has the references as well. So, and I think that's a really important piece is the credibility, because the people using your content have chronic diseases or are on medications or have a risk factor. There's a reason why they're monitoring their health. And it's typically they're not super healthy. The vast majority of people are not on that side of the spectrum. The vast majority of people are going, I don't know what I don't know. And I have a condition and I need to manage it. And obviously food is such a huge part of it. Mindset is such a huge part of it, along with, adherence to medications and adherence to the science. So, you do a fantastic job, because it always feels to me that it's not too much content, but I get the whistle stop of, multiple research papers in a relatively easy to understand and relatively short piece of content. So good job.
It's a really big responsibility, and we really try to, it's like we take science and unpack it into common language. This is what we like to do. Everybody can understand it and take profit of it, because too much knowledge, only knowledge, is also no good. You must do something with it, right? Yeah. You must really be able to apply into your daily life. Like, this is my life. I wake up, I eat my breakfast, I go to work, I have my kids, and then I come back, and then I'm tired, then I have to eat again. How do I change something? It sometimes changes really hard because you're already used to it. But what we want to do is really give a knowledge that is that person that everybody can apply into their daily lives. It's like the small steps, big changes, right?
Well, and yeah, you do a great job on it. And to your point, it's typically understandable and easy changes. That was the easy, quick changes, changeable, small habits and so on. So it adds up. Vivian, what do you do when you're not working on all the Elfie content and driving that? Because you have such a varied background. I know you do more. What's the rest of your day
Yes,
look like?
on the work side, on the professional side, I still do, not a lot, but I still do one-on-one nutrition guidance. And it's really challenging because what people want from a nutrition is a magic pill,
Hmm.
like a magic word or a magic something that the professional is gonna do everything for them. They just go to see the nutritionist, and when they go outside the office, their life is magically changed. And this is not how it happens. So, what I try to do before the first meeting, when it's one-to-one, or even a small group, or even a family, is to let them know how my job works. And if you're okay with that, we move forward. If you're not, don't waste your money on me because it's not going to worth it. It's not going to be worth it. So I really like to work with changing habits because this is how it happens. Like, you don't get to see me once and everything just magically goes better. No. So what I like to do is I keep seeing the person for 3 months, each 2 weeks. So I get to see the person for 6 times. So this is my first proposal. I explain how I work and explain the why, because, changing habits take time and you must know why you're doing it. You must know you want this, or something that's telling you must do this and you don't really want. And then you won't get any adherence on any treatment. So this is why we need this time, because you must be aware of what you really want. Take a look at your moment right now. What is your day like? How many hours do you get of sleep? Or who do you live with? Do you cook? Do you eat out? Do you bring food to work or not? So we can make the real changes. So one-to-one, it still is going on, but I am actually moving on only online guidances because I can get groups. And what I love most is mindfulness guiding. This
Mhm.
is when my heart smiles, is bringing mindfulness on daily 20-30 minutes practices. I love doing that too. And so I'm working on small online, I'm not going to call it a course, but somewhere you can go and access your daily meditation, your daily knowledge, and move on with your day. This is what I like most to do.
I can imagine them being fantastically community orientated groups as well, where they're supportive of each other. I feel like you've got a really nice balance there of, developing online content and as well as group and human to human interaction at the same time. And I think, that I always find this interesting in the world of health tech. And obviously I've worked in health tech a long time, but I feel like technology's job is to help people to be more efficient and to have what they need where they need it, in whatever language and context and tone that they need it in. So I feel like you've built a lovely career of finding that balance of bringing all of your strands together, as well as you said, your heart smiles. I love that saying. I'm going to use that again, by the way. I'm stealing that saying. But it's a really important piece. You must feel great contentment. I'm not sure is that the right word. Is that even a word? I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I feel like you're definitely bringing the best of both worlds together.
Yes, this is what I try to do. And like, when you start connecting the dots and everything start making sense, I'm like, okay, I am actually good at this. And if I am good at this, it's my obligation to move forward. Sometimes I am on my own social media and producing content, and it's like, oh, I'm not that excited about that. And then one friend told me something that I never forgot, and I take it with me all the time because I am a very introspective person. Like, I keep it all to myself. I don't like talking a lot to everyone and be at noisy places. So sometimes the social media can be really overwhelming, you know? And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me be here on my quiet world. And this, my friend told me this. Well, I'm sorry to say, it's not about you. It's about the message you have to the world. And I was like, okay, you're
Love
right.
it.
Okay, it's not about me at all. So I take my ego and I take my shame and put it into my pocket and just move forward.
It's so true though, isn't it? Like what's the purpose of life? They always is a question that we hear all the time. And I feel like it's leaving impact, right? It's leaving the world in a better place or having impact on the people that we're sharing the world with. And you definitely are leaving a massive impact,
Yeah,
both
I
in
like to
both parts
think
of your life.
so. It's like, well, if I give a little change to better, of course, to one single person, it's already amazing. But then you see one person, and that this person has a family, and all this family have friends, and then you just
Yeah.
keep it growing. And it is truly amazing. I have these amazing feedbacks. Even at Elfie, when I read the comments and we receive messages from users, I all the time I post them at Slack to see, hey people, look at the amazing job we're doing.
Yeah. No, it is powerful. And to your point, exactly, there's thousands of users that provide feedback on a regular basis about how they're changing, their lives, and they're seeing the numbers change on all of the clinical metrics of looking at whether it's HbA1c or they're seeing it from their risk score or their, whatever. So it's impactful and again, it's rewarding. Not everyone achieves that. I'm also very conscious that, as people have been through health and healthcare, and have qualifications, we don't always get the feedback and we don't always get the impact. So it's nice to have those comments come back and it's nice to see the changes and the numbers, and it's a privilege.
It is. And I really like to share with the team because we are such a big team now. Not everybody is reading comments on articles. I am. People are doing other amazing things that I know nothing about, but they should know what they're part of.
Yeah.
They really should know the impact of their work is causing. So I think we really must share that. And inside Elfie and of course in other environments, because when you see people talking about their families and their friends, how they did that for their husband or for their mother, for their kid, it's really, really amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
true. We are changing lives. So why not be kind to each other? Why not, bring this to your real life on everyday basis?
Yeah. No, I love it and well done. I think it's fantastic. Now, you mentioned you have a daughter. So you obviously do cook. I feel like you're one of those great moms in the kitchen that's cooking up a storm with spices and, a varied diet. So tell me a little bit there about what you're seeing is different for her generation. And do you have more kids? Have you just got one daughter?
So yes, I do cook. Not that I spend, the whole day at the kitchen or the whole weekend or anything, but I keep it simple. This is what I tell people. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Do the basics and you do fine. But what are the basics? So that's a good question. And remember when I said that I am a vegetarian for more than 20 years now, and I was more into natural food because you can be a vegetarian and only eat pasta and French fries.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Vegetarian, but that's not healthy. Yeah. I was more on the natural side, and okay, I want to know what I'm eating. Where does this come from? What I've had to this food until it reaches my plate. So I really wanted to know that. And so when I have to cook every day and be really nourished and take care of a daughter and nourish her too, I'm like, okay, how am I going to work this out? Keep it simple. It's like this is my mantra. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Keep it simple. So In Brazil, it's very common that we eat rice and beans. It's a combination that it's very well known to be like a Brazilian plate, just rice and beans. And it turns out that rice and beans, it's pretty healthy and it's a great protein if you're a vegetarian and you don't eat meat or fish or anything, any other animal protein. So if you have rice and beans, you're doing good. And we have lots of vegetables, lots of fruits. So I try to have a variety of colors and whatever is available, because I can't like wash and buy and prepare everything every day from scratch. So what I do is, we always have rice and beans or their families, like on the bean side, lentils, chickpeas, or just green peas, anything that goes on this as a legume. And on the rice side, we have quinoa, we have corn, all different kinds of rices. So the variety goes there. And what I like to do always, it's pretty valuable for me, it's to share the moment. Like we are always running around, and sometimes you are at a big family, but everybody has a different timing and schedule, and you don't sit down together ever. And I value this a lot. So every time we can, we sit down for breakfast and we sit down for dinner. Lunch is more challenging because she's at school and she's coming back and then she goes to the basketball practice. But every time we have the chance, we sit down to eat. And this is the time we talk, and this is the time we have to be with each other. I value that a lot. I really believe that nourishes us too.
Yeah, love it. Keep it simple. I love. And you, again, human connection. What's interesting there is also coming out, you keep it simple in the content as well. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing the same in the kitchen. I find it very daunting. I won't lie to you. Like the idea of eating healthy to many people is kind of daunting, especially if you don't know how to cook or you don't know what's healthy. And I do find a lot of nutrition content, the generic content out there on the Google and on Dr. Google can be conflicting sometimes. So yeah, it's nice to get the information from a trusted source, someone who's gone through the detail and thought it through and keeping it simple, which also is fit for people with chronic diseases, not designed for those that are running marathons and the high end stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's easier to
It's
find content on that.
Google and social media and so many information can be really overwhelming, because if you take by heart everything that everybody says, you're just lost, because they are contradicting each other. One saying this is great and the other person saying the same thing is terrible. And you're, okay, who should I listen to? So this is where the science comes back. And so, okay, here's science. Keep it simple and you do fine,
Yeah.
but that no fake news, really alarming podcasts or social media posts or this person or this doctor. No. Keep it simple, remove the excess, and just go moving forward, then you do fine.
And it's a great example as well where the AI insights comes into play. Because again, if you're thinking about the individual person with multiple conditions and multiple medications and obviously likes as well as cultural aspects, you're able to ask the question from an intelligent source. It's also able to give you, your personal details back to you as well, which I think that's a phenomenal leap forward in being able to access that personalized and precision of information that each one of us needs for our health. So it's nice to have the sources as well as the direct recipes, as well as having the insights with it. Now, what's interesting there, as you mentioned around the Brazilian diet, that actually sounded really nice, by the way. So I would have to come to Brazil. I will bring the wine.
Oh, yes, you.
I love it. I love it. Give us one bit of information though first, just if you were to summarize for our audience, right? And our audience typically on the podcast is professionals a lot of the time that are across the world in the world of health, fitness, technologies that relate to health and social perform. What would be if you had a piece of advice or a learning from your career that you would like to share, so that it was just that nugget that they can take away from this?
Well, I believe the first thing is everything around us nourishes us. It's not only the food we eat. So sometimes you see someone really aware of choosing the best food or the right food, but they are angry, they're sad, they don't have good relationships. You know these people who are irritated all the time, and you can get a real conversation. So that always nourishes you too. So it's about the food you eat, of course, that our body's health comes first. So that's food, water, good sleep, okay, and exercise, of course. But then you have emotions. Take care of your emotions. And it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be angry. And all of us are a little bit stressed and anxious, and that's okay. But what to do with this? This is what we all should learn and practice. Oh, here's my anger coming. Oh, here is my burnout coming. So I must take my time. I must take a deep breath and see what's triggering me, and being able to do this pause. And of course, look at your thoughts too, because sometimes it's your thoughts that are overwhelming you. The world outside, it's there. It's not going to change because of your thoughts, but your thoughts actually change how you feel. And this, how you feel, changes how you behave. So we should take a moment to just look at our thoughts out of curiosity. Don't get involved with everything you think. Don't think that everything you're thinking is true, because it's not. Maybe your thoughts are just overwhelming you. And then look at the way you relate to people, the way you talk. Are you being aggressive? Can you be kinder? Do you listen? Because listening sometimes is really, really hard. So we are here on a one-on-one conversation, and my mind starts wandering, and you're talking and I lose you. And okay, it's my time to talk. I don't know what she's talking about anymore. So listen to is a great thing for us to practice. So we have food, and of course, body and emotions, mental and thoughts, relationships, and environment. Our physical environment, like, oh, is my home messy? Is everything just thrown around, or is it clear and I can get sunlight in? And all of that always interferes with how we feel, and of course then how we will behave. So then again, keep it simple, but start with those basics. This is what I take from my heart, and I try to practice every day. Like, be aware, be present, really be mindful of your own life.
You really do connect a lot of dots, don't you? I think it sounds like you're probably the best guest I've had for connecting so many dots across the physical and mental health spectrum that we all consistently move up and down on. Thank you for that, by the way. And yeah, you definitely do keep it simple, but yet bring that complexity at the same time of everything that we touch in our lives. So brilliant. Okay, last question, and that we think you mentioned earlier on. We always talk on this podcast about spotlighting other leaders. You've had a fantastic career. You are impacting so many people in your group work as well as in your online work, and no doubt in your community as well. And your daughter is part of that ripple effect as well. And she's blessed. And I hope she appreciates how blessed she is. It may not in the 20 years, but she'll get there. Give us some other highlight or spotlight, some other female leaders that you've experienced and you work with, throughout your career or recently as well, because I'm always a big believer being a spotlight who's been impactful for us as well.
Yes, and it's really, really amazing, because it was something really new on my life. When I first entered Elfie, I knew nothing on health tech, and I discovered a whole new world. And I was lucky enough to be hired by and start working at the same office for over a year with Emily Christine. So Emily is French, and she had been living in Rio for a few years. And now she's back to France, which is very sad, but we still get to talk to each other all the time. But she really impacted me as a professional, as a mother who can work with family and work, because all the work she does is so brilliant. And when you look at it and say, well, how does she handle all that? Because I felt like my job was like this tiny part right here, but she was all over it. She had this vision of everything. So I still learn from her a lot, but at the very beginning, I was pretty amazed on, the vision she had. And when we are on a meeting like this with 3 or 4 people, or with 20, 25, she had the same presence and the same calm, maybe not on her mind, I don't know, but the way she sounds and the way she looks, it's really, when you talk and you're really certain of what you're talking, and even if you don't agree, she can still talk to you at the very first tone of voice, and be really firm, not like, oh no, it's okay, I don't care. No, she's firm on her words, and she makes herself be heard. So it's really, really amazing. And to see her growing as Elfie grew, as all of us are growing together, but to see her growing and leading other teams as well, it's really amazing. So I really, really want to leave this word of appreciation to her.
Oh, great shout out. And yeah, again, I've had the privilege of getting to work with her the last few months. Her output is off the charts, right? Her output is just off the charts. And to your point, she never comes across as someone that's stressed, but yet she has to be doing 10 million things at the one time. So yeah, great shout. And we actually have a podcast with her in the last few weeks with Dr. Otavio Boanger as well, who also is Brazilian. So nice connection there between Brazil and France and Elfie as well. So great shout out. Great shout out. Vivian, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate from a professional perspective, you are leaving a massive impact on the world of health and healthcare. So in everything that you're doing, so well done. It's a privilege working with you. I said I'm lucky enough. I'm only starting to get under the hood of working with you on different pieces, and it's been a privilege as well. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully I'm a massive supporter of what you've already done. And I've no doubt you're going to leave a massive impact in the next couple of years as well.
Thank you so much for having this opportunity. And I feel like each time I talk about it, it becomes even more clear for me too. It's not something that I already knew. I keep building it every day. So this is pretty amazing. Thank you for this opportunity.
You are welcome. Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks for tuning in to Connecting the Dots. If today sparked a new idea, helped shift your thinking, or gave you something to take forward, share it, rate the show, or drop us a message. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. Until then, keep connecting the dots that matter.